Yeah. Yo, this one's for Dead Man's Creek, Skeetchestn, the center of the universe, the place I call home. I remember playing in the swimming hall summer long, in the pit house hearing elders as they hum their songs, in the valley where everybody knows your name, and those mountains I call home in the snow we play.
Hoi. Welcome to the Skeetchestn Indian Band. Skeetchestn is a small community outside of Kamloops, PC, that takes great pride in our culture, language, traditions, and people. The Skeetchestn Indian Band has over 500 members and is located in the Dead Man's Creek and Thompson River area. It's a beautiful place and we're always happy to welcome visitors to our territory.
From the river to the waterfall, the same valley that I learned to crawl. Asking now that we've been through it all. Dead Man's Creek where I was born and raised. The place I rep until my dying days. On the river.
Skeetchestn is a community of traditions. Food gathering is an important tradition for our people. It allows people to gather and pass on knowledge from generation to generation. It is important to have a knowledgeable guide when harvesting wild potatoes, as not all wild potatoes are edible.
To carry on the traditions, and it's good for them to know that, there are things that are edible out here. If you're out and about and you see white flowers, then there's wild potatoes, so you go and take your little fork or whatever and dig it out and take a look at it.
Potatoes, in our language, it's called squinaquam. The squinaquam is one of the most important plants that we used to gather years ago. And just think of the winter time when we spend all winter in the underground winter pit home, the Skeetchestns, and our bodies now are lacking a lot of vitamins. So a long time ago, the squinaquam gave our bodies a really good nutrients that was much needed.
Bitterroot has been harvested for hundreds of years due to its healing properties.
Bean is what we call it in our life and history. That's the king food of the Mother Earth.
The heart of the bitterroot plant is known to be especially effective in pain reduction.
If you ever eat that little red pepper that's inside it, it'll hit every direction in your stomach. So that's what it is, better.
It's a plant, and it's also a medicine that's been in our family, or in our culture and family for many years, thousands of years actually, that people have used for healthcare. Really good for us as children and youth coming up to learn our traditions with our elders and to be able to learn what things and medicines we have for the next generation so that we can keep our culture with us and make sure that we always have it.
You have to learn from somebody what it's all about. That's the teaching of the elders. That we should know.
Fish release and fish harvesting are annual events that are important to the Skeetchestn traditional way of life. Fishing has not always been plentiful in this area, but recent programs have helped increase fish and spawning production. Jackal Lake is often used for this purpose, and also as a training ground for younger generation to learn to respect the practice of fishing.
We help them from suffocating there, and it's too warm. And chattel, we caught them by using the net and going under the stomach to do it. We put them in that big blue water box that's really cold. And then we use nets to grab them and free them. Oh, I learned to respect lots of this stuff because some of it's property and a lot of this stuff is special to us.
Yeah, it's very important to start them at a young age and teaching our culture and our traditions for the youth, and so they know to be able to sustain, to feed their families in the future.
Wild game is important to Skeetchestn. as it makes up 25 to 100% of the household meat supply. A hunting camp at Marshy Lake was established to teach the traditional hunting methods to our youth.
Today we were making some jerky with some school kids, our community school. So teaching them how to debone a deer, make jerky, put it in a smokehouse, smoke it. So just teaching them some culture and tradition. So my grandpa, my uncles, my grandma, teaching me how to hunt, how to process it. I went out for many years with my uncles hunting before I was allowed to harvest a deer. So it's important to teach us, to pass this on to our next generation, our kids, so they have the ability to feed themselves.
It's important because a lot of what we teach our children and teach our youth, for a millennia has been through these types of hands-on experiences. We didn't have classrooms and textbooks or even a writing system. So a lot of what we teach and a lot of what we learn is through these types of situations, and it's important that even the really young ones watch, and as they get older they'll have these memories and it'll help them a lot.
That's the ball joint. So that's going to be a nice piece of jerky there. That's why I do the back straps here. You get some nice big pieces of jerky to eat for your family. So.
And there it is.
Another more recent tradition here at Skeetchestn is the rodeo. The Dead Man's Creek Rodeo is a family-friendly, action-packed event that keeps the spirit of rodeo, horsemanship, and First Nations culture alive. The rodeo usually takes place in May and is located off of Trans-Canada Highway No. 1.
Just like the land, the animals in the land, and the horses, they also bring to us that special, they create language for us, they create songs for us, they create our dances for us, the Little Pony Dance and many other drum songs that we have. So the horse culture's been with us, and we've had rodeos in our community for over 120 years now. So the joy I see the most in this sport is our youth that are coming up, and you can see them, the numbers of youth that are rising and getting involved in all aspects of the sport of rodeo. And away we go. Wait, I'm looking for some numbers. Good run,
One big family in the heart of Sakwet Makulu. Little kids hiking cliffs, checking out the hoodoos. In the creek, catching fish, chasing after swell. By the lakes with our nets, trying to catch a trout.
Stories are an important part of all Indigenous communities. Stories are used as a way to explain how things came to be, to pass on values, and to explain the laws and customs of our people.
To Kalkupki, he sent all of us animal people down here onto Earth to prepare the world for the humans to come. But one of the greatest adventures we had was the time that we accidentally stole fire. You see, we knew that the people to come, they would need a way to heat, to cook their food, to warm themselves. So we started thinking, oh, fire. And they flew as high as they could. Every single little bird you could think of, they flew to try and get fire for the humans to come. So all of the birds flew as high as they could go. But the only one that could get really high was Eagle. An eagle flew as high as he could go, and he went up and up and up and up. When it's dark out and the sky is clear, look high into the sky. And the sky people are now the stars that look down upon us. And that is the story of how myself, Coyote, and all of the other animal people stole fire. Skeetchestn.
And in our apple orchard, that's where Mom planted the carrots, the onions, and we helped. Mom would dig a furrow with her hoe, and us girls, 4 of us girls, we got a bit of seeds in our hand, and we'd go ahead and we'd plant.
And I remember going down to the river with my grandfather. He had his own fishing hole, and we used to have to go across the railroad track. Knew that was scary. And he'd fish off of the cliff there. Then we would, my grandmother used to dry the fish, and she'd can fish, and we never went hungry because they were a hard-working couple, and I think everybody at that time, you know, you put away for the winter.
We learned a lot of our things by watching and listening. A lot of our stories and our history, we listened to that because that's a teaching for us. By watching my grandmother and my grandfather, I learned a lot about my culture and my history. It's very important that they know their history, their culture. They know the land. It's so important for us because we have to hand that down from generation to generation.
Community, what the elders have done is they've taken our stories, our spectacle, and retranslated them back into Shuswap. So we have the pictures, the drawn pictures of each episode, the story in Shuswap and the story in English, and it's interactive. You could interact with it.
By the mouth with the spear with the elders route. Gutting salmon with my friends, then summer droughts. Hunting deer with my uncles, learning how to shoot. From starting small with a buck, moving up the most.
Cultural activities are an important part of our Skeetchestn way of life. Canoes are traditionally used for transportation, hunting, fishing, and gathering berries and roots. There are ceremonies for when canoeing begins and ends for the season. And there's always canoe journeys throughout the summer.
Welcome to the home of the Skeetchestn Uluk people. On behalf of my people here, I hope you had a wonderful journey to the skippers and pullers. I allow you to land on Skeetchestn Uluk soil. Welcome.
Drumming and singing tells the stories of our people.
Well, drumming is important to us as First Nations people. It goes back in history, and it's all part of our customs and our traditions and our values of who we are. And our drumming tells stories, tells legends of who we are in our songs, and I think that's why Pomink is so important today, because of that. So our kids don't forget that the hand drum is part of who we are.
Indigenous art comes in many forms. Performance art includes theater,
And he went up and up and up, but then he had to return. So
singing, drumming, and of course, dancing. At Skeetchestn, some popular art forms are pine needle basket making, beading, painting, and working with animal hides. Skeetchestn has many members who have multiple skills to pass down to future generations.
Chilling in the fire hall, working on the floor. To recording at my spot, cussing on the low. Learned a lot about my life through the songs they sang. In the valley I call home where the natives pray.
Skeetchestn is a fun place to be. Lahal is a traditional game of First Nations people.
Stick game is a traditional game that we historically played for many generations, and we played this during funerals to help the family lift their hearts. But over time, we play this game for many reasons, and mainly to have fun.
Today, Lahal is played at celebrations, gatherings, and special events. In 2016, Skeetchestn had the honor of hosting the 17 Secwepemc communities for the annual Secwepemc gathering.
$5 a card.
Cook's Gem, thank you for joining us. You are always welcome here at Skeetchestn.
I remember playing in the swimming hall summer long. In the pit house hearing elders as they hum their songs. In the valley where everybody knows your name. And those mountains I call home, in the snow we play. One big family in the heart of Secwepemc. Little kids hiking cliffs, checking out the hoodoos. In the creek catching fish, chasing after swell. By the lakes with our nets trying to catch a trout. By the mouth with the spear where the elders rouch. Gutting salmon with my friends during summer droughts. Hunting deer with my uncles, learning how to shoot. From starting small with a buck, moving up the moose. I'm chilling in the fire hall, working on the flows. To recording at my spot, cussing on the low. Learned a lot about my life through the songs they sang. In the valley I call home where the natives pray. From the river to the waterfall, the same valley that I learned to crawl. Asking now that we've been through it all. Dead Man's Creek where I was born and raised. The place I rep until my dying days. On the river, from the river to the waterfall, the same valley that I learned to crawl.